Soulmate with Brian. Welcome everyone. My name is Bryankym, and this is our first episode of Soulmate with Brian. We welcome all global audiences all over the world, from all different countries. It's our first episode based in South Korea. We hope you're blessed, and we're going to start right now. So today, let me welcome our first guest of our very first episode of Soulmate. His name is Colin Shin. Let's give it up. Hello, Colin.
Hi.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did this, right?
It's
Well, it's amazing to have you as our first guest.
I'm honored.
Our show called Soulmate. And I just want you to first tell us about yourself, who you are, for the general audience.
My name is Colin,
Yeah.
and it's great to see you all here. It's a historic moment. It's the first episode of this new season called Soulmate. It's not a love reality show. It's a love of God reality show.
Wow.
We are finding our true love, which is God. And we're here to really share about our lives and different topics, different areas of life, and try to be as relevant as possible. I come from San Francisco, California, and I was born and raised there. And I came to Korea when I was 8 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so I came when I was in elementary school. I got straight into Korean school, and then I finished Korean school, elementary school, and then I went to middle school and high school into an international school. So I only spoke English there. All my education was in English. And then for college, I went back to the States. And then after college, now I'm here. So I was back and forth, and I was always navigating where I was culturally and also finding faith in the middle as well. And yeah, so that's my cultural background and what I do. I'm a musician, I play piano, and I majored in music as well. And I just love collaborating with people, doing concerts and worship events. And I also love to bring people together, so I like to do organizing events as well. And yeah, I'm still learning in the process, and also getting ready to be, it can be maybe a director, it can maybe be an event planner, just trying to see where God takes me with these different interests and skill sets. And yeah, that's my brief intro. I think that was kind of long, but we'll hopefully...
So that leads us to beginning our talk for today. We have a lot to dive into.
Let's get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we are excited about. I want our listeners and our viewers to leave comments below, like what questions you want answered. Anything you're curious about, whether it's Korea or a mission work, music field, K-pop, K-worship, whatever it is. We want this talk show to be, like Colin said, relevant, and also hopefully it's a blessing to you from wherever you're at right now. So both of us were from the States, right?
Yes.
You're from San Francisco. I'm from Texas.
San Antonio.
Yeah. Everyone thinks like I'm a cowboy and like we still ride horses, but that's way back when, right? You've been to Texas before, right?
I've been to Texas actually once. Just Houston. And yeah, it was very vibrant and very alive. So I can see why people really like Houston, and this is so energetic. And I hope to visit different cities like Austin and San Antonio, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Riverwalk.
Never
mind.
I don't know what that is, but let's walk.
The Alamo. Yes.
Yeah.
So you've been all around the world, right?
Not as much as you, but yeah, just certain parts.
So regarding culture, regarding different countries and cities, from what you've experienced, what countries has God placed on your heart?
Very good question, and it's actually a question that I regret not really thinking too often. But I'd say the first country that comes to my mind would be, because I'm Korean, like North Korea, of course, like North and South Korea. But other than North Korea, I also have a heart for Japan as well.
Japan, wow.
And China.
Arigatou gozaimasu. 韓国語から聞いて少しの本当に拍手をお願いします。
どうぞよろしくお願いします. Yes. Yeah. I'm actually 1/8 Japanese because
Are you?
my great grandma is Japanese.
Wow.
So naturally, I had a question of like, what would it have been like to have a Japanese family member? So I would actually think about Japan, and so it was very natural for me. And I love Japanese food, and also Chinese culture.
Are you 1/8 Chinese as well?
Not at all, but I speak Chinese because I spoke. I learned to speak it in middle school and high school. So Chinese, the language itself, became very familiar with me. Not too much the culture, but it's just these three countries: China, North Korea, and Japan. They're close to Korea, but it's hard to really become very familiar with those cultures sometimes, even while living in Korea. So those things kind of it was separated. I felt separated, but then slowly God stirred me to like break away from that and also try to open up more to these different cultures. So those three definitely. I also have a heart for Israel because
Israel.
the Old Testament is all about Israel, and it's God's first like promises and His first people. So that I kind of feel a little bit afar because there's so much to learn and so deep and dense and a lot of history. But still, I'm trying to always let go of my perception and let go of what I'm used to really see where God is taking me or pulling me. So, yeah, and I'm sure there are more countries, but for now, that's all I say right now.
Right.
Yeah.
To segue into that, when I was growing up in Texas, there weren't many Koreans in San Antonio. And of course, my church, the immigrant church, but that was pretty much it. It was different from LA or from New York where there's more Koreans, right?
Definitely.
Especially when we were growing up. Well, not we, but we're a different generation. But when I was growing up, Korean wasn't really cool, right? In Texas or in America. But now, I mean, Korean is global, right?
Yeah.
So for me, it was tough because it was hard to relate with Korea.
Yeah.
I'm Korean, but I couldn't speak Korean well, and Korean wasn't really cool either.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I couldn't identify fully as American as well, right? So for you, I'm sure you may have experienced somewhat of a,
yes.
I guess, a identity issue,
Crisis,
right?
Yeah.
So how were you when you were growing up, and how did you deal with it?
Yeah, I still ask this question every day. Am I Korean? Am I American? But so in my childhood, it was around a non-Asian population. It was mostly white neighborhood with like many different just people from different backgrounds all around America, but not necessarily like Asia. So it was very natural for all of us to just have this preconception of everyone's different and we're all here, and there was no like one majority race, I guess. But once I came to Korea, actually coming to Korea made me think like, why is everyone Korean? Why is everyone like black haired, and why do they all look the same? So I had to question myself, like, do I fit in here? So I've always had that issue, and I tried.
So you asked the question.
It's like the opposite.
The opposite way.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So,
yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that's what many Kyopos or many second generation Korean Americans, when they first come to Korea, they're like, okay, I don't think I'm Korean. So they feel that, and I felt that as a like a third grader, fourth grader, and I tried so hard to be Korean. Like I tried to like what my friends liked and do what my friends do, but no matter what I did,
samgyeopsal, right?
I mean, food and like whatever it is, like culturally.
Cultural-wise.
But whatever I did, I wasn't fully like part of their culture.
Misfit, right?
So I would always like listen to music from the States and watch movies from the States, and I tried to keep that like tie and keep that connection because I just I was more it was more relevant to me at the time, and slowly that became balanced as I lived like over 15 years here now in Korea. So but still, I'd say now when I go back to America, I'm like not fully American now, so I'm like it's hard to say honestly, but I'd say I try not to think too hard about what is Korean, what is American, because many overlap, many different. So I just try to find common ground with whatever I come across or whoever I meet. So Yeah, culture is such a big thing to consume, and sometimes it's overwhelming. So I try not to take everything as a whole, but just bit by bit and like piece by piece. So slowly, that can be like the intersection between different people and different aspects. It's really hard to say that in like one sentence.
Right.
Yeah.
But you just did.
That's
Wow. Actually, you know, for us being able to speak right now in English, but in Korea,
yeah.
as Korean diaspora and Korean Americans, you know, it's very unique, you know?
Yeah, special.
And what also makes us, I guess, unique is not just a different culture and the journey that we've been on, but we also have our faith in God, but also as musicians, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
worshipers, yes.
both those are huge and unique, right?
Yeah.
In itself. So what would you like to talk about first, faith or music? Because I want to go deep into both of these.
God first.
God, pass the test.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Please take a sip of your
A living water.
living. Soulmate with Brian. Subscribe, click the bell button, and leave a comment below.